Welcome to Crafty Brewers Tales Behind Craft Beer, the podcast that will increase your enjoyment of craft or local beer and the people who make it. Today we have traveled to Lyons, Illinois to go from grain to glass with Ike Orcutt, the man behind Buckledown Brewing. We are going to discuss a beer trend. We're going to talk about a beer myth. And as always, we are going to share the stories that make each brewer unique. I'm beer drinker and hellraiser Brian Noonan, and my opinions, for good reason, are strictly my own. Behind the camera is our executive producer, Cody Goff. And with me, as always, is the high priestess of hops, the matriarch of malts, the femme fatale of fermentation, the siren of suds, the regent of remote podcasting. She's the co-owner of Exit Strategy Brewing Company, Katherine Vallow. Hello from the Sunshine State.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
We're not as good as you. We're not living the dream in the sand and the surf.
It's true. Things look a wee bit different this episode. We made a giant life change and moved to Florida. So Crafty Brewers South is currently located down here, which is exciting. It's a big move, and it's kind of recent. Like we're not even 2 weeks in. So yeah, it's been a thing. And yeah, we did that after closing the shop. It was real fill in the blank weird to live so close to it. And it just hurt too much. And we were like, well, let's bury these ghosts and let's run away like adults.
Makes sense.
So that's, yeah, run away like an adult. Something makes you upset, run away. Great life advice. Also, my folks live down here, so like there's that. So this is what it looks like now until I come up to visit.
That's going to be nice for us when we plan we did the Milwaukee run. Now we'll have to do a Florida run.
Man, I've already got like 6 breweries ready to go. Come on.
All right. Well, Ike is with us. And Ike, as I mentioned, we always start with a myth. Katherine likes to bring myths to the table. Some of them we've heard before and maybe lived through. Some of them are completely false. Some are true. What do you got, Katherine?
Okay, so today we're going to talk about this idea or myth that dark beers are seasonal only and that you can only drink them in the winter when it's like, in 10 feet of snow. And that is bunk and stupid. So we are going to bust it today. Currently, you've got a dark beer, which is great.
I do.
And I'm going to show a couple different ones that I have that are very cool. I've been hanging on to these for a while. I got them last winter or maybe 2 winters ago when I was down here. This first one is called Sanibel Snow. It is from one of my favorite local breweries, Point at Bell. This guy is like a gorgeous, just chocolate and Madagascar vanilla and coffee. It is an Imperial. It is 10.7%. Cody, this is like your dream. And then the other one that I'm going to crack, and this one's it's warm. Sorry. And the label is super dark. Oh, look at that.
Brown.
So this one I also got a while ago. This one is from Fort Myers Brewing Company. This is a brown sugar rum barrel aged brown ale. And this one is 11%. So these are big ass beers, but it is, it's like 88 degrees and there's no reason not to drink them. And I think the idea of like, we can't drink a stout. It's warm outside. Like, A, grow up. 2, grow up. Like, it's just ridiculous that anyone would think that you can't drink a beer year round. I mean, I understand that like in colder times, we're like, ooh, we could cozy up with like a nice stout, but you can drink them whenever, right? I mean, Ike, hit me. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I would also say like not all dark beers are 11%. Brown sugar, rum, barrel-aged monstrosities, which are delicious in their own right. Right. And I think a great dark beer in the summer would be like a Schwarzbier, like a mild ale.
A double down Dunkel?
A Dunkel would be a good example of that.
One of the things I like, too, about dark beers in warmer weather, and these guys have heard, I just preach about this all the time. I think dark beers need to be served warmer, so they open, so they're fuller, so like you get more of what's happening. So this thing's been... it's just been on the table, unopened, but it's been on my table for, I don't know, like 40 minutes. I think it's at the perfect drinking temperature. I also understand that this is in a wine glass, but there's a reason for that as well, to quickly just birdwalk that way. And it is, I like the more surface area on my stouts, especially when they're imperial, because you can swirl them around actually, and you can just get more on the nose from them. So I think it's a cool way to drink a big boy stout.
But some of these other ones that you mentioned, like a Schwarzbier, a Dunkel, Cody has the Blood Red Ale. Is it, well, they're lower alcohol than some of the stouts and stuff.
Sure.
And so that makes them more accessible when it's high. It doesn't, just because it looks dark doesn't mean it's any heavier than drinking any of the other stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the usual. Suggest somebody close their eyes and have a sip and like tell me what you think about it.
Yeah.
Don't come into it with but we drink with our eyes, obviously. You want things that look good and are what you're looking for. But if you're being I don't know what the right word, an honest beer drinker.
Right.
And just drinking by what you taste and what you sense. Yeah, I mean, dark beers are delicious.
Well, that's the other thing, too, is like we say all the time, too, if you can drink coffee, you can absolutely drink a dark beer. So if you can drink coffee year round, guess what?
That's a good point.
And I think that goes more for stouts, because I'm happy that Dunkels and Märzens and all Schwarzbiers are coming out all year, because that's what I like. I like a maltier kind of beer. And they're not the same as drinking a stout or a barrel-aged stout or any of the kind of stouts. They are light and refreshing, just like if I was going to drink a Pilsner or a lager or a wheat beer.
Very true.
So that's good. All right. So we have busted this myth.
Busted.
Busted up.
I think of the idea of like, I can only drink this beer in X number of months it's just silly.
Ike, but that being said, you guys at Buckledown and most places brew their big stouts in the wintertime. Is that because that's what the customers expect? Is it easier to do it at that time of year?
No, it's 100% what the customers expect. A lot of what we do is driven by market forces, cause typically those beers are brewed, 9 to 18 months ahead of time anyway. Okay. So you might be brewing one of those in the summer. You might be brewing it in the winter. So it doesn't really, that part of it to me doesn't matter when it's going to sit for a year in a barrel. But on the non-barrel aged side, yeah, we do like it's a brown ale with cocoa nibs, chocolate, coffee, vanilla, cinnamon.
Yeah.
That's a winter beer for us. But That's more of a winter warmer, in my opinion.
Well, there it's busted. All right, let me reintroduce our guest. I'm very excited to be here. And so I'm going to try not to be cloying or fanboyish as we go on. But Ike Orcutt is here. He is the founder. He still does some brewing, even though he's the man who fixes everything here at Buckledown Brewing. Buckledown Brewing is at 8700 West 47th Street in Lyons, Illinois. BuckledownBrewing.com is their website. And I have been coming here since you guys opened, so it is a thrill for me to be here. I'm happy to be here. And that's the last I'm going to compliment you, so people don't think that you paid me to come in here.
You can compliment me if you want.
All right, well, I will.
It's okay.
Because I came in here and the taproom has changed a lot, but I like the coziness of the taproom, and then the beer just got me. And that's the beautiful thing. But let's start with you. And let's go way back.
Sure.
Before Buckledown was a thing. How did you get into it? Were you a home brewer? Did you study beer? What was the deal?
Yeah, so I guess I'm 45 now, and I think my 30th birthday, my wife got me like a Mr. Beer kit.
Okay.
Much to her, I'm sure, like everybody
had Mr. Beer, and it's my favorite that everyone's like, I had a Mr. Beer. We're like, yeah, everybody had a Mr. Beer.
Oh yeah, I think we got it maybe at Bed Bath & Beyond. I'm not sure. Can't remember. It might have been at Linens and Things, who knows?
Okay.
But yeah, I made one terrible batch with that. And I'm like, oh, this beer thing seems kind of interesting. And then it was all downhill from there.
How did you hook up with Pete Crowley from Haymarket? Because you studied under him for not a long time, but an intense time, right?
Yeah, correct. So that really the genesis of that is I worked for a marketing agency that was literally across the street. So, I'd already been homebrewing for probably a year or two. And one day I look out my office window and there's like tanks getting delivered to this place across the street and a sign going up. And it's like, is there really a brewery opening across the street from the office? And I was on the West Loop. Well, obviously where Haymarket is
right
to this day, which I was going to tell you the intersection, but that's kind of apparent.
Sure.
But yeah, struck up a friendship with Pete, who's still a great friend who I don't get to see nearly as much as I'd like to, but I think that's
that guy's always so busy.
Yeah. And we all are. Everybody's got a lot going on. But yeah, he taught me how to do it. I knew in theory and at a very small scale how beer is made, in theory, but practically, on like a actual brewing system that isn't made out of a picnic cooler and copper tubing and all the other random items.
All the Mr. Beer things.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
All the cobbled together homebrew stuff. So yeah, Pete was instrumental. Great guy, amazing brewer.
Had you been homebrewing before, after the Mr. Beer, before you met Pete? Were you working at home and trying stuff out?
Oh yeah, it got pretty hardcore pretty fast.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was the first? Do you remember the first beer you made?
Yeah, it was like a Sierra Nevada clone, probably like everybody else, and it's delicious. I think my stepdad still has one. He's like, "Oh, I've got one of those beers in my fridge." It's like, dude, you can't. What are you doing with that? I'm surprised it hasn't exploded.
I love you so much, Dad. Please don't open it.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't try to drink that. Come and drink. I've got all kinds of fresh beer at the brewery. Come and have one. It's probably much better.
I'll give those to him, then I'll get those like 5 years later.
There you go.
Not
I'll tell you what.
Giant beer drinker.
We recently opened an original homebrew bottle prior to moving, and no,
Okay. Yeah.
absolutely, just don't do it.
I have to imagine.
It smells like salmonella.
Oh,
If salmonella had a smell, you'd be like, "Yep, that's what that is."
What that is.
that would be much more
Just-
helpful if it did. It would stop all the outbreaks.
If it did have a smell,
Yeah. Instead of people just eating it, not knowing.
yeah. I don't know how many people smell raw chicken. Like if you smell raw chicken, you kind of smell it anyway. That's not appealing.
All
I
right.
agree with you though. If you could smell
you
like
could
a bad batch of lettuce, that would
Yes,
be.
yeah. It's like,
that'd be
this bag is
Ooh,
tainted.
this got some. This is all salmonella-y.
Catherine tends to poo-poo my ideas because they are so advanced and so out of bounds.
First of all, you're coming in hot. We're
Always.
6 minutes into this.
That's right. Get ready. There's 40 minutes. There's 40
Don't
minutes
worry.
left.
I got ammunition.
I know you do.
Don't worry.
All right. So the idea for Buckledown and the actual opening of Buckledown, there wasn't a whole lot of time in between, right?
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate. It was
So-
about a year.
That which seems quick.
It was fast.
When you came here to Lions, and first of all, what brings people to Lions? I know what brought them to Lions in the 70s and 80s, and it was not a wholesome family friendly brewery.
Sure. Yeah.
But what made Lions the place?
Well, if you got to think back to 2012, and you had some city breweries, and then there were suburban breweries like Two Brothers, Solomon. So it's kind of like a big gap right
Okay,
in the middle.
right, yeah.
You go out west and go to some breweries, go in the city and go to some breweries, and we're still relatively close to the city. It's
Oh yeah,
close to 55, close to 290. It's
Right.
like, oh, it's close to Midway. So really it was kind of a location thing. My old partner lived in LaGrange,
Okay.
so he knew the area, and yeah, it just seemed like a good fit. You know, people have generally a few dollars to spend on a good product, which is helpful.
yes.
Yeah, that's kind of how that came to be. We looked at a few other spots, and we looked at like Broadview, like north of 290, and that didn't feel right. So it ended up turning out like a good spot.
And it's when you started, it seems like a much more manageable size. Did that play into the decision to come into this particular location?
Well, I think not knowing anything when you're opening a brewery, it's like, oh, this place is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. Like we can make thousands of barrels here, which I guess you could sort of,
Sure.
but it felt much bigger. Like, why would we need more space? I think we got a few people were like, it seems a little tight. It's like, well, what do you mean?
Yeah.
We could do so much room for activities.
There's a lot of well, you've added this back room for activities, which is exciting.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know? That's always fun. You put the beer garden in, the patio, which is very nice. But so Lions was the choice. At the beginning, you were the head brewer, correct?
Yes.
All right. So did you bring one of your homebrew recipes? What did you start Buckledown with?
Belt and Suspenders was our first beer,
Okay.
which we still make. You know, it's obviously like any other beer. It goes through its changes in hops and everything, which, you know, makes some people upset. But, you know, it's just the nature of a natural product. The nature of a natural product. That's a weird phrase to say.
It's nice.
It's not, and I think one of the things that we should touch on is that, people get upset when you change something. It's not like we're going to a place that has unlimited supplies of natural ingredients, right? And like droughts will affect things, and supply shortages will affect things, and supply chain issues will affect things. And like if a hop variety changes, it's because of something that happened either to the soil or with the weather. And like there are reasons for it. It isn't just because you were like, you know what I'm feeling, no mosaic. Like that's not why we're generally driven to change things. I mean, we've got to and I do believe sometimes that people need to understand that when you're working with these kind of products, you could, in fact, experience a change in something that you did not plan. And then you roll with it.
For sure. And sometimes too, it is that I don't want to use Mosaic anymore. And you've got to put your beer drinking faith into me and know that I know the best thing. Just kidding. Ike knows best.
You're very messianic.
Just drink what you're given.
I got to tell you, I think I'm going to make a t-shirt that's like mostly your face and it just says Ike knows best.
Ike knows best. Drink what you're given.
I would buy that shirt.
Drink what you're given.
Drink what you're given.
Drink what you're
Shut up and drink.
So, all right. So for those who haven't been to Buckledown, what is Belt and Suspenders?
That's our flagship IPA. First beer we brewed back in, and I say we, but it was mostly just me. Back in like November of 2013. First beer we made, and it's been a mainstay forever. I mean, we rebranded it about a couple months ago just to kind of spice it up because 10 years is a long time.
Yeah.
And obviously, like I said to Katherine, the recipe changes a little bit here and there, but it's a delicious IPA. Always not too bitter, very, very, aromatic and kind of fruit forward and just a delicious beer.
When you started and you were brewing Belt and Suspenders, what else were you more of an IPA guy? What were you trying to, what was your style when you started?
Yeah, IPAs. We did more like Belgians then because people would drink those at that point. I think our lineup was IPA, porter, like a Belgian single, which nobody still knows what it is. I don't even know what it is. And then a Belgian IPA. So it's like half Belgian beers, half IPAs and a little bit of other stuff.
And as you went on, were you listening to, like, were you following trends? Were you listening to yourself? Were you listening to customers going, hey, like, will you make a Mexican lager, for example?
Sure. I mostly just listen to my heart,
Nice.
like the song says. It's sort of true. I don't know. But anyway, I really loved lagers for a long time when I was homebrewing too. It's blown away the first like Vienna I made. It's like, oh my God, this is ridiculously good. So yeah, we brought on a German Pils and a Mexican lager and Oktoberfest. That was kind of that as the Belgians went away, it definitely got plugged in with delicious lager beers. Yeah. Which has been great to see that kind of trend, at least in this market. It seems to be a thing that people are interested in, which is amazing because it's like 90% of beer.
Isn't it nice to see things kind of go back to like sessionable and a little lower ABV and a little bit lighter and like
less lactose?
It's just wonderful. I'm so happy to not see like triple IPAs all over the place.
Like a chocolate cake, triple IPA, sour.
Just like, how much can I put in here? And you're like, this tastes kind of like soy sauce, which is what a lot of these things that are adjuncted taste like.
But I like soy sauce, but
in your beer?
No.
Okay, good.
Like with sushi. I like chocolate cake, like as chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake, yeah.
And this is an important thing to note, right? I like chocolate cake when it's on a plate with a fork.
Correct.
Not necessarily thicken in my glass.
When did you decide, okay, I'm going to cede some of the brewing to someone else? When did you bring in another brewer?
Yes, I think we had our first kind of assistant brewer maybe a couple years in.
Okay.
And then I've gone through, that sounds terrible. I've gone through a bunch of these guys.
You burned them out?
We've burned through a bunch of these people. But no, I've always been, I want to say less of a control obsessed person, but it goes in waves. I have my moments, but no, we've always had a great team.
Yeah.
I know where I can plug in best to help the guy. Right now we have an amazing team. They do almost everything. I'll mash it in the morning and they kind of just let it rip from there. I'll do some dry hops because I don't love them going up on ladders, but.
Oh, that makes sense.
But they can climb ladders though. Okay. They can do it all. Those guys are great. They're amazing. Patrick and Joe are the best. And Michelle is also amazing. And all of our bartenders too.
There you go. Is there anybody else you want to thank?
Yes.
The Academy?
Thank the Academy, our investors. Yes. No, it's a nice blend of who does what. I mean, I don't think one person can do it all generally. So you gotta have good people.
We're sitting right near all the brew tanks and everything. How much can you produce here at Buckledown?
We could do probably like double or triple what we do.
Okay.
We used to make a lot more beer. Like distribution was a big part of our business, and now it's not quite that. It's more about the tap room. It's more about variety, getting close with our customers, and really the shelf space at big retailers is kind of evaporated. So,
okay. Is that because there's too many beers out there that are competing for that shelf space?
I think it's because I don't think people are drinking as many beers.
Ike is killing every single thing that we've talked about right now. Like the markets, consumer behavior is acting differently. You're just fighting for shelf space. There's so much out there that you're like, I can't choose because I just want I want a lager. Well, there's 63 different kinds.
Yeah.
And they're all over the place. Okay, cool. Now I'm overwhelmed. Like it's just, there's a lot, and it makes being a consumer challenging, and then it makes being a producer super challenging. When you're like, what am I going to do? I'm totally saturated. I have said that. I know other people do not agree with total saturation. I think we are saturated, but much like Brian, my opinions are also my own. I just happen to think they're always right.
Well, I think you've seen it's true. Obviously, the proof is in what's been happening in the market for the last couple of years with the amount of closures. Yep. I mean, it's clearly happened. Allegedly, like the younger people aren't drinking as much, and that's probably good for them. Maybe. I don't think so. Actually, never mind. It's not good. That's
come
not
back
good
to beer.
Them.
Drop the weed. Come back to beer.
I agree.
Yeah. Weed's for hippies and freaks and people at dead shows and fish followers. Come drink a beer.
It's also for people who have insomnia and who can't sleep.
Yeah, but those people I have empathy for. The dirty hippies, I don't.
If you drink enough,
oh my God.
I'll sleep.
Good, right?
Listen, Catherine, I've been drinking a long time. I fall asleep quite often. I don't need the devil's lettuce to hook me up.
Well, the devil's lettuce.
Satan's oregano.
But I think we make, I think, beers I really love and our customers really love. It's just not a ton of it. It's okay.
Because when people come in, and this is from the first time I came in, it's a warm feel in the tap room. You mentioned you thanked your bartenders. They're all very friendly. They're knowledgeable of what's going on. You have created a community here. How difficult was that in this day and age to get that kind of loyalty from people? And what do you do to keep that community going?
I don't think it was, I don't want to say it wasn't difficult. You just got to do the small things correctly. I mean, we care a lot. Yeah. We care a lot, and our staff cares a lot, and we care about our consumer experience, and I think that's probably the big thing. Everybody gives a shit around here.
Nice.
If you want to come in and you want to talk beer, or bring your family, or not your dog at this point, but bring your babies in, you're definitely welcome. It's a fun experience. Yeah. There's nothing too weird. No,
I sat here one day with my wife and we played Scrabble for 3 hours.
There you go.
So it's like, okay.
That's a classic experience.
I was drinking beer like an American. I wasn't smoking weed.
My God.
Like some hippie.
But our consumers have been great because there's a million options. Yeah. And it's not always the most convenient place to park. There's not a lot to eat here. But they appreciate what we do. And I think we do a great job in service. And I think we make a fantastic product. So we have a couple TVs now. At first, it was like a hard no TV rule. But, you also you gotta meet the people where they are at some point too, right?
Yeah,
so
and, you've always had the festivals like Oktoberfest and stuff, which are great. And now you're offering little something to eat, but you could always still bring things in, which is terrific. We have many more questions for you because time is not the tyrant here. But this is a time where it's dealer's choice. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, you are going to have a beer that you're a new beer, one that you're especially proud of, maybe for whatever you want to do. And we're going to talk more with Ike Orcutt at Buckledown Brewing in Lyons, Illinois, buckledownbrewing.com. It's time for a beer. All right, we are back. It is time for our beer break. Ike Orcutt is our guest. He is the founder. He is the former head brewer. He is still a brewer, still the head brewer. He's the man who fixes everything. He's the guy in all the social media videos. He is Mr. Buckledown Brewing, which is at 8700 West 47th Street in Lyons, Illinois, buckledownbrewing.com. And what have you poured for us? It's a very fancy light color.
That is our summer seasonal raspberry party pillow. It's a raspberry Hefeweizen.
Ah, Party Pillow's been around for a while. When did Party Pillow first come on the scene?
Party Pillow is probably like 3 or 4 years after we opened because I was being a bad husband. The Hefeweizen's always been my wife's favorite beer.
Okay.
And like for years, I'm like, no, we're making wit beers. And she's like, I don't like these. And finally, we made the Hefeweizen. It outsold the wits by like 10-1.
Oh,
and she's
wow.
like, see, I told you.
So
do what I tell you. And I'm like, yes, ma'am.
Some guys have to buy jewelry. You just brew a beer.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
And
buy jewelry?
Yeah. And jewelry sometimes.
Right. So
Michelle's the other key component to Buckledown. She does all the actual work.
I saw that on the website. You give her full credit for being the brains behind the outfit, which is, and then you brewed her a beer, which is nice. So
and this is her favorite beer. This takes her favorite beer and extra favoritizes it. That's a word.
It's not a sour.
No.
It's not overly sweet. No. It's very refreshing. It's like a nice, almost like a cocktail.
Thank you.
To a certain point.
Yeah, the fact that you can drink like 4 of these. So it's just not so sweet or like over fruited. It's a beer that has it tastes a little bit like raspberries, but it tastes like beer. It's not a raspberry. Like I could get a raspberry juice. No, is that a thing? Do people drink raspberry juice? No.
I've never heard of it.
I know they drink the seltzers.
But you can put them in smoothies.
There you go. You could have a raspberry smoothie. So we don't need that. You can have one of those. This is a beer that has some raspberry in it. But it's a beer
isn't raspberry that happens to have beer in it. It's beer that happens to have a raspberry in it.
That's it.
Aha.
That's it. Thank you for saying what I was having a hard time saying.
It's beer that has raspberry in it. When did you decide to take Party Pillow and start adding things to it for the summer?
That happened a while ago. Yeah, I think actually Haymarket again, we were there drinking, they have a beer called Pink Sock Monkey, which is like a raspberry wheat beer. And we were driving home. I think we had the kids down there. Not that they were drinking. They were watching us drink.
They were driving.
They were driving. Good mac and cheese at Haymarket. So that was a win when you have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. So she's like, why can't you make a raspberry beer? It's like, well, no, our tanks are too big. Like it wouldn't work. She's like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, maybe I could put it right in the keg, and figured that out on the ride home after like 6 beers. And then, we just wanted to make a little short run. You just put it in the keg. Who knew? So I don't claim to be smart.
Oh, so you're adding. All right, cool. You're adding in the keg.
Because we make a lot of it. We do in the bright tank, but like for little one-offs, we'll just throw it in the keg. But I didn't realize this because I'm not a professional brewer. Well, I am now.
I would say.
But
So explain to me and other people who are not professional brewers, the tanks, that's too much for a one-off.
Yeah.
So are you not, this one you said you make in the bright tank, which explain that to people. What is a bright tank? So
our tanks are between like 500,000 gallon. So roughly between 30 and 60 half barrel kegs. Okay. So when we want to do a fruited beer like this one, we did a full 1,000-gallon batch of it.
Okay.
So in that case, you're adding fruit into like these bulk big ass tanks.
Yeah.
But when you don't have something that's going to go to Binny's and Jewel and take your pick of all the outlets that it can go to, and you just want to make enough to have fun in the tap room, you can put flavors directly into the keg.
Really?
It's like pumping green flavor or green coloring into Miller Lite on St. Patrick's Day. Similar.
This tastes better. This tastes better than
Dosing kegs with something delicious like raspberry is different than dosing a keg with green number 4.
You're the voice of reason. Thank you.
I don't want you to give away trade secrets, but is it full raspberries? Is it raspberry puree? Is it what goes into the keg? Well, not this because you're doing a big barrel of this, but I know you've done other flavors of the Party Pillow.
Yeah, we get a lot of flavors from a company called Amaretti in California. Okay. So they make like it's purees and like organic concentrates. It's really high quality. It's great stuff, but it's also like microbiologically sound. So grabbing some raspberries from the Jewels and grinding them up.
It's not going to work.
Who knows? I mean, it might work great, but it also might introduce some stuff into the beer that might not be great.
Biofermentation is probably not what you're going for.
Correct.
So there's probably that. Secondary weird fermentation is also not what you're going for. And I cannot imagine, like, my insides hurt thinking about the destruction of all of those seeds in any brew house vessel. Like, my body is like, oh no, when I think about like raspberry seeds in a vessel.
That's a great point. Yeah.
This may be a dumb question. It probably is a dumb question. But when you add it straight to the keg, how does it absorb? How do things get mixed? Do you lift the keg over your head and shake it like a gorilla? How does this happen?
Yeah, we shake
every
well,
keg?
what you do is you take an empty keg and you fill the fruit in, because kegs, beer comes off the bottom. So you fill the fruit in first, and then you'll like put beer under pressure.
Okay.
So it fills from the bottom and kind of, you can see me on video.
Yeah, we have
cameras.
Things happen.
Like at whirlpools.
And then we also like shake it a little bit.
Very nice.
A lot bit too, as well.
You can roll them too, Brian.
Yeah,
like
you roll
can roll
them.
it around.
Yeah,
You can just like roll it.
Again, I'm not in I just drink the beer and talk to the people who make it. I don't actually make it.
That's craft brewing with a K right there.
It's wow, I like that.
Good.
Cody, now you're drinking the Blood Red Ale. The what's the Blood Red Ale called?
Barbaric, which we did as a collaboration with a comic book company that our master of all things, Joe, set up. He's also a master of marketing.
Because you've done a red before.
No,
right? Did you?
Have we?
The Shane was a stout.
Yeah, that's
right.
Irish stout.
Yeah.
We've done an Irish red before, but never like a
red,
American red.
Okay, what's the difference?
That's a good question. Probably more hops. A little more hops in like a West Coast style red.
Oh, wow.
A little bit more. And this isn't to that level of hopping. So that's it. It's probably more like European red. I don't know. That's a great question.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot about one of your own beers.
Yeah.
No, I think it all comes down to the hops, the levels of hop, and there's probably a difference in the grain used too. And that's like,
yeah, it's kind of a like tweener for sure, because it's a little bit bigger than like an Irish red. It's not mega hopped. They use some beautiful European malts, but it's a really good beer.
Lately, I've gone out to my beer fridge and I'll be late at night and I'll be like, do I want a beer? And I'll open the fridge, look, kind of peek in. And I'm like, nah, I don't want a beer. I just don't want anything that's a little harsh or a little bitter. And this would do that. Like this is a thing that I could reach in if I don't feel like a beer. And it's really smooth. It's like got a light flavor. It doesn't taste hoppy to me. Particularly, like I'm not an IPA guy, but just it's nicely balanced. This is like one of the better beers I've had from any brewery.
So you're saying when the children go to bed and you need to drink to forget, this is the beer you're going to use?
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Perfect. I love that.
Solid.
I love that.
But yeah, I appreciate that. We do try to like focus on balance. You gotta have the right balance. Like anything that's too far out of whack, it's just not very drinkable.
When we were getting the beers, you went out, you said, we work really hard to make good beer. And that's part of you're part of the, I don't know if it's a slogan, an ethos, your trademark. Work hard, work with your hands, make great beer. And that's all over your website.
Yeah.
That's kind of where the name came from. But when you read that or somebody reminds you that you said that, what comes to mind as far as Buckledown?
Yeah, I think probably like basically building the entire tap room by hand, building the bar, doing all the wall coverings, building a bunch of furniture. That's probably most of it.
Okay.
Like a lot of like the build out we did ourselves. So that's probably the biggest thing. Yeah. I mean, making beer obviously is like very hands-on for somebody our size. There's not a lot of automation or robots or anything fun like that, or dangerous also when you think about it.
If they become self-aware.
Correct.
Then you're in a lot of trouble.
Always the concern. So it's mostly, building the tap room
preaching to the choir, Ike.
Yeah.
So here's my question to the group. How long do we think before there's some kind of weird AI brewery where it's like all just done by like the people from, what was that movie? Avatar.
It may have already happened, Catherine. I mean,
I don't need to know about it.
Ike is actually, you're not here, Catherine. Ike is a hologram. That's why I haven't reached across the table, because I would go right through him. It's freaky.
You know what? It's a good looking hologram. I tell you what, you look very solid.
It's top of the line.
You look very dimensional.
He only went out of
version.
focus once. When you got up from the table too quickly, I was like, now I see it.
No, but that's a good point, though. I do wonder, the Chat GPT recipe, you got some brew robot that does stuff. It could have already happened. It might have been what High Noon, what became High Noon, could have been AI. I mean, who knows?
Oh my God. High Noon is brewed by ChatGPT.
It might
All
be.
right, you heard it here first.
Wow. We're
Keep
breaking
drinking
news.
High Noon. You might
Breaking
be
news.
attacked
Shitty
by
seltzer
robots.
is made by a robot. It's not totally shitty. It's mostly shitty.
You mentioned that
it's pretty
Cody's
good.
the red is a collaboration. You guys do a lot of collaborations, which are cool. I know you did one with a grocery store in Riverside. You've done a bunch. How do those come about? And you seem very open to those. Is that a conscious decision, or do you take it kind of case by case?
It is case by case. I don't want to do things that are cool. So like it's whether it's a local store that we like or like a cool comic book brand. We're talking to like this time we're actually asking for permission from a professional athlete. We might be doing something with, a person. I don't know. It's got to be something that's cool. I just like things that are fun.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I love a good brewery collaboration, but it's got to be right.
Yeah.
It's got to be the right thing. And yeah, I'm open to it as long as it's cool for everybody and it's fun, because beer should be cool and fun and awesome.
I would
like
think so.
I'm a young, cool lad.
Yeah.
Right?
You scream
Super
youth
young.
in motion.
But yeah, I just don't do fun things.
Gen X is the youngest and the coolest.
That's right. You got that right.
I'm an old beer
She
drinker.
chirps in.
Not like dirty
That's
hippies
right.
who smoke the weed. Listen, friends.
I'm not a hippie.
You
all
are.
right?
Look
For the
at your-
last time.
Look at you. You came in your tie-dyed van outside, your VW van.
What's wrong with the tie-dyed van?
You look like Spicoli
First of
when
all-
you got out of your car.
Spumoni?
Spicoli.
That's an ice cream.
Yes, I know
I'm
Spumoni is an
somewhat
ice cream.
Italian, but I'm not. I mean,
All right, we got to keep it on the rails.
why?
Do we?
No, we don't.
I didn't know you could tie-dye
keep it
a whole
tight.
van.
Cody's very creative.
We're back to Scooby-Doo villains. This is where I feel like we fall so often. Like we turn into Scooby-Doo villains, or somebody turns it like Cody is now some kind of place like Shaggy.
I got to ask you this, because one of the, besides all the beer, and how many beers do you usually have on tap if somebody comes in?
We usually have like 12 or 13 beers, and we've got usually 2 like craft cocktails.
That's what I want to get to, because that's within the last year or so. Is that correct? Okay. So how did that team with Piggyback, the distiller, how did that come about? And like who decide, is it a collaboration where you go, I have this beer, like, cause I can see the Raspberry Party Pillow being part of a nice cocktail.
Absolutely. Yeah. So really the genesis of that is, Wilson Torres, who is the, like local rep for WhistlePig, is amazing. Like he's the best person ever.
Shouts to Wilson. He's so
Do you know
great.
Wilson? I love Wilson.
I do.
The best person. He's ridiculous. I met him years ago when he worked for Castle and Key at like a bar in Brookfield.
Oh, geez.
And we had a great time. He's like, well, anytime you want to do cocktails, let me know. And it's been great.
Shouts to Wilson. We'll tag him because he is like the kindest. He's so cool.
So yeah, that's really how that came about. It's like, Wilson, I think maybe we should do something. Cause again, I want to provide an experience for anybody who comes in. If you want to have fun or want to have some drinks, like I don't want to say you can't come here or you can't feel comfortable here because you don't like beer. I mean,
Right.
we can do all the things. Yeah, we're a brewery, to your point, Katherine, earlier. Like we're a tap room, we're a brewery, but we can also have a space for some nice crafted cocktails.
And the cocktails include the beers.
They generally, they sometimes have
Usually.
beer, sometimes not.
Okay.
We don't pour shots or like beer or whiskey on the rocks. It's
Right.
like it's its own thing. It's a cocktail. It's in a keg.
Oh, nice.
It's its own made thing.
So what two do you have on tap now?
Right now we've got a old fashioned that's made with barrel aged maple syrup, which is amazing.
Oh my God.
It's garnished with a little waffle, which is fun. We call that the Canadian tuxedo. And then we
got to wrap this up. I got to get to the bar, Cody.
Me too.
I got to interrupt super, super fast. I'm really sorry. Cody, I was going to text you, but it's becoming too difficult. My laptop is starting to die and it was fully charged when we started. I'm letting you know that if I cut out, that is why.
You have to plug it in.
I'm outside. I'm not near a plug right now, and my cord is inside, and like there's a million reasons
Can I
why
give you 2 words? One is extension. The second is cord. enjoy yourself. So, all right, we've got the Canadian Tuxedo on tap. What else? What's the other one? As Catherine just fumes.
It's called Tropic Thunder. It's a whiskey sour with pineapple juice and Mike's Hot Honey.
Ooh.
Trademark.
That does sound good, doesn't it?
Unlike Brian's Sass, that sounds really good.
Very tasty, yeah.
Brian Sass is next month on tap. Brian Sass is going to be bourbon and hot sauce.
And weed.
You keep none of what I've asked you is really on this sheet. I just type it out. I just type it out for,
what's on there?
There's a few, like stuff from your website and, the question about collaborations. That's basically it.
Excellent.
Everything else is, all right, let's just talk to Ike.
I definitely used to cheat at all times in school, so.
And the 3 questions that we ask every brewer. Let's move on to question number 1. Ike, what is the hill you will die on? The one beer that no matter how people sit in the tap room and they clamor, Ike, please make this beer, you will say to them, in good conscience, I cannot.
Oh, that's an amazing question. I get it a lot. I think I don't want to say no to anyone. I'm not good at that, saying no to people. I've been told that.
It's because you're a Gen Xer. We don't know how to set boundaries.
It's really bad. So bad.
I
think I would not do Painted Turtle again. They got me last summer, and I'm like, do it. I'm like, I'll do it if you buy it, and I did it.
Can I insert my Painted
Turtle
Turtle story?
Please do, because I don't. And explain, Catherine, please, what Painted Turtle is. Obviously, it's a beer.
It is a beer from Buckledown, and now for the life of me, I'm like, I can't remember what kind. It's a light beer. It's a light beer that you guys
light pale ale.
Yeah, it was like a pale. It was something. It was easy. It was beautiful. I always really liked Painted Turtle, and I always liked the can art on it. But I am not I am not a fast drinker, so like it will take me a while to finish things, which means that I've never shotgunned a beer because that sounds horrible. There was a year at the Oak Park Microbrew Review when it was like a deluge. It was pouring so hard that year that a bunch of people stood under the Buckledown tent and shotgunned Painted Turtle. And that's my one shotgun experience was Microbrew Review. There it is. Buckledown tent, soaking wet clothes, shotgun and a Painted Turtle. Let's get after it.
I can imagine who from Buckledown might have been involved in that.
I don't know. I think I
have an idea.
There was one person that was a maven of beer shotgunning. One of the best.
Maven is a really good word for it. There was maybe there was a key in this person's pocket.
Possibly.
Anyway, how does that make? Is that when you're toiling over the recipe and you're going through all the process of making Painted Turtle? Do you think to yourself, "Good Lord, I hope somebody in a wet T-shirt is shotgunning this at a festival"?
Can I plead the fifth? Is that something I can do on the podcast?
Yeah, it's American.
I reserve the right to not answer that and incriminate myself.
All right.
Great job, buddy, because no one's shirt was okay.
No,
you said everybody was drenched.
I would never.
Well, it was raining. Oh my God. That was a year that like you would watch like shoes like float down the street because like it was madness. Anyway.
Now you're married to an attorney, so I have to cross-examine you on that. So people's shoes are floating down the street. It's raining that hard. And you expect us, Miss Vallow, to believe that no one's T-shirt was wet?
Everything was wet.
I rest my case. No further use for this witness, Your Honor.
It's pretty impressive. The legal reasoning is pretty.
You can't handle the truth. Move on.
I watched a lot of Perry Mason as a child. Question number 2. A beer you brewed, it might have been wildly successful, but for whatever reason, you've decided, no, we're not going to revisit that one again.
I don't have one of those.
Oh, nice. Okay.
No, if people want to drink it, we love all of our children. All the beers we make are great. Well, I mean, they're not all great. Okay. We're very happy with all the beers we make. If people want to buy them and drink them, well, you'll keep making them. Sure. Right.
Very nice.
Why not?
Listen, I have no argument against that.
Okay. All right.
No further use. No, that's not true.
You don't get grilled with questions. That's cool.
Well, I asked him the question. He didn't come up with some crazy anecdote. that was wildly false?
I actually am surprised I don't drink more working with you.
You should listen. Why do you think I've been married so long? You got to keep. That's the secret of hanging around me. Drink. When you're off the clock, it can be one of your own beers. It can be something else. What is your go-to off the clock beer?
Well, I do love drinking beers off the clock. Which is really true. I drink a number of different beers. They're usually they're lighter beers. I don't like light beers, but I like High Lifes. I like Hams a lot.
Really? From the land of Sky Blue Waters?
Sky Blue Waters. I really like our Cactus Pants. That's delicious.
Cactus Pants is great.
What I had recently, I really liked Microphone. I was over there the other day. They gave me some Italian pills. That was delicious.
Ooh, I like an Italian pills. Yeah,
Italian pills are great. What else? I had another one. Oh, you know what I really liked was from Half Acre Green something. It was like a lime lager. Green.
Oh wow!
I don't know.
I had that at their
It's got like
Balmoral.
a snake on it or something.
Yep.
Delicious.
So good.
A lime snake beer.
Yeah, lime
That
snake
sounds
beer.
good. Lime snake beer sounds.
But I like
Half Acre, join us. We talk about your lime green snake beer.
Yes. I like lighter lager beers.
Okay.
That's my jam for sure.
What is it about High
And I like
Life
to
that
drink 1,000 of them.
every brewer seems to love High Life? What's it about High Life?
You know what I really like is when the bottles are cold and you like crack it open. There's a little like, puff of not smoke, like beer smoke that comes out of it. That's what I really
All
like.
right, you like the beer smoke.
I like the beer smoke that comes out of the
doesn't?
bottle. High Life in a
Dirty
bottle
hippie.
is I like it more than in the can. I sometimes like it in the can, but I like it.
Cody, isolate that clip for lawsuits later on. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ike.
That's all I have to say. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I like it in the can sometimes. I mean,
Listen, no judgment here. Ike Orcutt's with us. He likes it in the can sometimes. He is the man behind Buckledown Brewing. Katherine, it's time for beer behavior.
Absolutely not.
I don't put words in people's mouths. I just repeat them ad nauseum.
You're not wrong. So today I wanted to touch on just trends that we see as we come up to festival season. Festival season is upon us. We are out of, and I think timing wise, it's okay to mention this. We just ended Illinois Craft Beer Week, which means we're kicking off all of that. Like fest season is going to go absolute bonkers very, very soon. And I think one of the things that's interesting and that's trend related when it comes to festival season is what that does to taprooms. In some years, I think we've seen taproom consumption go down because so many people are like, well, I mean, if I've got 2 festivals to go to this weekend and I'm paying one price and I can drink like 20 different beers from 20 different breweries, why am I going for 2 beers at my local brewery? So I think fest season is a little bit tricky sometimes to navigate for brewers. But then on the other hand, you can also in festival season attract a lot of new consumers who, again, are like, well, I have this pass and I can drink 20 different beers and I'm going to try 20 different places I haven't been and then possibly go and see them. Do you guys see any kind of difference in your consumer behavior or behaviors even from your regulars during fest season? Or is it just kind of like festivals are festivals?
I'm not aware of any business change that unless it's something like uber local, sometimes then we'll see. Right. But I mean, we also see it with like First Communion weekend. It's like, take your pick of people got a lot going on. And we've really pulled back on the fests. Like I think those 2020, 21, 22 kind of with the COVID, all the fests were gone. We haven't really jumped back on. We're very strategic about what we want to do fest wise, and mostly because it's like staffing them is very, very difficult.
So that's another part of the trend though with festival season is, are we seeing fewer breweries participate? And the more people that we've talked to, the more we're hearing like, I'm just being a little pickier or being a smidge more discerning with the number of festivals that I attend, which ones I go to make sure that like they're worth your while. Like we've got some really big ones in the city and then in the near suburbs that are worth it for everybody to go to. And then we got a couple where you're like, this is cool, but can I staff the tap room? Can I staff the fest? Am I now doing all the things? Like what, where do we land on that? So I think festival season has become just a really interesting way to look at what we're doing now, hitting the ones that are super important as opposed to, every festival, every single weekend, all the time.
I think you're right on. Yeah.
Is that partially because you're more established now, so you don't need to go to as many? And then how do you decide which ones are the ones that you'll go to?
Well, okay. So I don't know if they ever were, I don't know if you could ever like quantify like a good ROI with, because people drink 100 beers,
okay.
right? Like I think I remember a beer I liked. It might have been from a place. It's like, and that's it.
Okay.
Fun events.
There was that one time I had that one beer from that place, and you're like, yes, that one.
That one. It was good. So
my favorite.
probably always a little bit quiet, but a super fun event for the consumers though. So it's like, I don't want to poo-poo the fests.
Sure.
Oh, no. It's how we manage. Yeah.
Right.
Like, how do you manage making sure that your consumers and like your base is taken care of, but then also the business part is taken care of.
Oh, no.
And it's just one of those things that's like tough with the industry.
No,
right?
I'm not implying that you are poo-pooing. I don't want to be like,
there's no poo-poo.
fests are stupid. We do, what are we going to do? I'm not sure what we're going to do this year. Not many, maybe a handful.
Are you guys going to be at Microbrew?
Maybe
August 17th.
Would I know by now? When do you have to sign up for that? We're last minute.
Day before.
We're a little last
I guess
minute
we'll
here.
show up.
If you want to sign up, there's still time, but I would get with Jana on that.
Good point.
Jana Matson.
But the big thing is if I can find some volunteers to do it, because we just can't swing our taproom staff to do that, and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So it's very tricky. Fests have become a weird thing. Oh, and the other thing, if they're not like buying any beer, it's like, pass.
Or do the fest?
I've got enough donations.
I'm going to hop on this too, because this is another one of those things that I think folks don't necessarily understand sometimes. And it just goes along with like, well, why does this beer taste different? Because all of those hops were like flooded out in a storm or something, right? When it comes to festivals, there's two kinds of festivals that are out there for breweries. And one festival, you have to donate all of your beer. And that is hard in this industry. It is hard to keep donating and donating and donating. Then there's other festivals where they will purchase your beer from you. And that's lovely because you're selling your product, which is a good thing. And I think we all like to balance.
I had no idea about that. Sometimes you had to give your beer away, basically.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's some of the bigger ones are like, well, here's the thing. If you donate it, here are your passes for the event. Here are your brewer passes. And you're like, all right, cool. Or you can choose to pay for your passes and entrance to this, and we'll buy your beer. So you're like, well, all right. Do I want, X number of passes to the thing and I'll just donate my kegs? Or do I want the kegs paid for and then I got to buy some passes to send people to work it? It's a really weird trade-off. And it's hard to do the festivals that are like, just give us shit. And you're like, I am a little bit tapped out in the just give us shit category.
Yes.
So how quantity are we talking about for a brewery? If they came to you, Ike, and said, oh yeah, you can do this festival, you have to how much do you need to donate?
Well, usually a couple half barrels, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's usually a couple half barrels, and half barrels are about
geez, okay.
If you're talking distribution and like the price, right? Like you could be looking at $150 per keg if you're talking like, distro pricing or whatever, $100, $150 per keg. You could be $300 out the door that you're donating, which again is okay if you feel that fest is super important and you want that exposure at that festival, right? Or it's super local and like you want to be part of the sponsorship or whatever. And all those things are great, but it's hard. And and you're like, all right, well, then it's kind of a $300 loss.
You write it off, Katherine. Don't worry. Just write it off.
I don't even know what a write-off is. Let's be very honest.
No one does.
Wow. All right, we got to teach about electricity and accountants.
We do give away to
I don't like this at all.
To the guild, though. We did Beer Under Glass.
Yes.
Was that last week? Because, they support our cause in Springfield and advocate for us. That they can we can
You'll give them a
donate
couple,
beer
yeah.
to them because it's not exactly a donation. It's really
Right.
self-serving, but
No, I mean the guild is doing some advocacy work, right? So like,
Exactly.
no, you can have all my beer.
But
You're
a
doing
random-
advocacy work that's working for us.
Just some random, hey, we're doing a Western suburb beer
somebody
fest.
sponsoring the Rolling Meadows
Yeah.
under 10 Little League team to go to Cooperstown. No, I'm gonna pass on
I'm
that.
going to do that.
No,
All
I
right.
can't-
Well,
I
fair
can't,
enough. You hate baseball.
right?
That's okay, Ike. It's America's pastime, but that's all right.
I'll support my
Yeah,
own
but-
baseball. I got my own problems.
There you
okay?
go. 99 problems, and Rolling Meadows kids baseball is not one.
That's correct.
Well,
That's fair.
you don't
That's
have
fair.
to go to a fest
Not
to
sown
enjoy
anymore in Rolling
Buckledown.
Meadows. That's over. That's over.
No, Rolling Meadows
All right.
people,
All right.
you are welcome here at Buckledown Brewing, 8700 West 47th Street in Lyons, Illinois. BuckledownBrewing.com. What about all the socials? Because as I mentioned before, you're the king of social media content. I love it. The Oktoberfest ones when you're in your crazy suit. You wear a lot of costumes in your videos. You're always telling people about the newest beer. So you're out there.
Yeah, questionable decisions are made on camera on a weekly basis. But yeah, I think we're on the Facebooks.
Instagram,
We're
you're on.
Instagram.
I'm going to look it up real quick just to
Is
so we
it
can
pronounced
get
the Facebooks? Is it
I
like
think the Facebooks
It
is correct.
It's the face place.
Yeah.
the face place?
Face place.
Thingy guy. I think we have a
the Grammy
YouTube.
thing.
Oh, you got YouTubesies.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
we have all the things.
You got them all.
I don't think we're on TikTok though.
Wow, that's too bad. I'd like to see you doing a dance
We are
move.
of an age that we don't need to be on TikTok. Nobody understands.
No.
No.
I don't understand what it is.
Yes, so
No.
Buckledown. Look for Buckledown Brewing everywhere you get your social media information, and then go to buckledownbrewing.com. Ike Orcutt has been our guest. He's the man behind it all. He's the founder, the head brewer. He fixes everything. He does the videos. He sports the merch. He's everything about Buckledown Brewing, except for all the stuff that his wife Michelle does. Other than that,
Which is
Ike is
most
the
things.
man. She does many things. So, friends, let me tell you this. If you want to support the show, please buy our merchandise because we are shilling our merch at craftybrewerspod.com. We have shirts like this I Drink and I Learn Things Crafty Brewer shirt, or the vintage tank that Katherine is wearing. So we've got all kinds of things. We have hats, we have phone cases, we have everything we could slap our dirty little name on for you to buy and support this podcast. Every purchase you make supports the show, and we appreciate it. It helps us cover our editing because Cody is getting more and more expensive by the week, and our web hosting expenses. Katherine, do you want to mention a featured item today?
I do. We're just going to talk about our retro collection. So I was playing around with logos the other day. We've got a retro collection that's in our online store. So this guy is part of it, kind of like a Brady brunch, not brunch. Oh, I love brunch.
Oh, Brady Brunch.
Brady Bunch, like theme to it. There's a couple others that are very Dirty Hippie inspired. So Brian will love them.
Love them.
Yeah. So featured merchandise, all the retro stuff. CraftyBrewersPod.com.
If you like social media, Katherine, are we on social media?
We're on so much social media, and there's a small, tiny announcement to go along with our regular social media. So we are on Instagram, and you can follow us at crafty_brewers_pod. Also in social media land, if you are a follower of Exit Strategy Brewing Company, I went ahead and switched those over to Crafty Brewers Pod, since that is the next iteration of things from the shop. So if you are one of our Exit folk and you are already following us, we are going to pop up as Crafty. Same community, same good stuff, same girl running the socials, like same everything except podcast content, but still beer, which is great.
And there is still some Exit merch on the website. Some fun Exit merch.
There is an Exit shirt on the website. Which is, you know, like superfluous to Crafty, but I appreciate that. So if you see Crafty pop up all over your socials, That's me. I did that, and I did it for a reason. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, if you're a brewer like Ike, or you know a brewer like someone
Also like Ike.
So
I know people.
Ike is a perfect example of both of these things. We know a brewer. Ike is a brewer. So
And I also know brewers.
you know brewers. Well, Ike, then do us a favor. If you know a brewer who would like to be featured on an upcoming episode, then let us know. Drop us an email, like at craftybrewerspod@gmail.com, or one of your many brewery friends. We would love to get emails because I skim them very quickly and usually get the information wrong. But we would love to read those emails anyway. Today's episode of Crafty Brewers Tales Behind Craft Beer was executive produced and edited by our main man, Cody Goff, award-winning podcast producer.
So many words.
Listen, I give you a lot of words. I got to give Cody some words.
I said awards.
Oh, awards. I thought you said so many
so
words.
Too. Yeah.
It's the Raspberry Party Pillow. It's got my head in a very happy place. Anyway, for Crafty Brewers, she's Catherine Vallow.
She's not. She just doesn't
You
even want
are.
to be right now. He is Brian Noonan, and all of his opinions are his own.
Of course, I said that at the beginning. Any final
I
words?
know, I like to retouch. Yeah, watch out for gators.
Wow.
It's good advice.
Yeah.
That's real here. Like,
you and Molly
you have
Hatchet.
to watch out for gators.
Rock on.
Right. That's it. Ready? We're out.
Are we done?
That was fun. Good job.